Everybody, my name's Rashad Walker, and if you see me on the street, please call me by my government, Rashad Walker, and this is an outpour of my story.
I begin. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought.
Coming out the closet for me, the day I came out was, it was one of the most liberating but also scariest days of my life because I never knew how my parents would really act, even though I had a feeling they kind of already knew I was gay. But when I finally came out to them, I just saw my mom in the living room. She was folding laundry. My stepdad was upstairs. And I told her I needed to tell her something, and I got my stepdad, and we sat down, and I told him I was gay. I know my mom, she got really quiet. My stepdad got really quiet, and shortly after, they told me, Rashad, we love you no matter what you are. They were a little disappointed because the vision, I believe parents have a vision for their children. Parents have a vision for what they want their children to become. They want grandkids. They also don't want you to grow up in a world where you're already black, but now you have an extra target on your back because you're gay. But they were concerned about that. But overall, my coming out story was not as traumatic as it was leading up to the point of me coming out. The reason why I was so nervous about coming out to my parents wasn't the fact that I thought they would disown me, but my parents were very religious. They still are. I grew up my whole life in church, and I wasn't sure that my mother and my stepfather or my biological father, any of them would be able to reconcile the two of me being gay versus going in what they actually believe in. So I just didn't know, and I kind of deluded myself into thinking that if I told my parents I was gay that this was going to happen, or maybe their religion would trump me and I would be destitute, I would be out on the street. I just didn't know. I had no roadmap. There was no representation for anyone who looked like me, who had a good story coming out, especially during high school. When my parents embraced me after coming out, I think the best way I can describe it is sort of like when you have a full bladder and you've been holding it in for so long, and then you finally, it comes out and you feel like you're a lighter person. Just to have that validation and having that weight of shame and guilt and just confusion, just to have it stripped off of me and finally be able to say this is who I am, and having the people who matter the most to me, which is my parents, that it was transformative for me, and it saved my life. It really did. I knew I was gay my whole life, but I did not have the vocabulary for it, if that makes sense. I knew what I felt in my spirit when I was around guys or even men. It was sort of like a magnetic pull that I had that I couldn't really describe, but I knew that it wasn't the same feeling that I had with little girls when I was in pre-K or when I was with kindergarten, but I always knew that there was a strong bond and an attraction that I had with men. I would say around 7 is when I realized, okay, the word for that is gay. And I remember hearing that for the first time probably around 2nd grade. Middle school was a traumatic time for me. I believe it started around 7th grade, where the picking and the teasing really started to take its toll on me. I remember waking up in the morning and thinking, okay, Rashad, you already know people are going to call you gay, people are going to call you a faggot, people are going to call you a sissy and a punk, so maybe if I don't walk in class walking this way, they won't say nothing, or maybe if I don't come in the classroom talking this way, or if I don't stand that way, it would be different. And it never stopped. And everything that made me was being rejected by my peers. And even though I got along with my peers, there was always that one guy or those group of guys who just kept going. And it made me so insecure at such a young age. And I started to believe that maybe they were right. I had no example of what gay looked like other than TV. And I saw myself in those people in TV, but in every direction, I was being told it's wrong. You're an abomination. And I didn't have anyone at home who I could talk to because my parents were in the church. They were committed to their religion, and I wasn't sure if my mom, despite how much my mom loved me, I wasn't sure that she would be able to reconcile what she believes is right in the Bible versus her own flesh and blood and what I'm going through, and it's killing me. I felt like I was drowning. I think the best way I can describe it, I was suffocating. And every time I thought I found, a shallow area, one time I thought I could, okay, there's the shore, I can get there. It was just like another crash of a wave just pounding me. And it went on like that from middle school. Then once I got into high school, I literally had to fight for myself. It wasn't enough for me just to, have a sassy comeback. I got really slick with my mouth, and I learned that I can fight my way out of a lot of situations by speaking up and standing up for myself. But in the 9th grade, I literally had to fight a bully to stop it. I knew that what my experience was in middle school, how bad it was for me. I said, kids in high school are even worse than they are in middle school. And if I don't do something about it, if I don't stand my ground, this is going to be a long 4 years. And I actually fought my bully in the 9th grade, and I beat him. And while it kind of shifted how people saw me, they knew that I wasn't a punk, but it got more severe to the point where the bullying became physical, notes on my desk. You walk into the lunchroom, people don't want you to sit with them. People who you think you're friends with, they start growing up and they get girlfriends, and suddenly the guy who's a little feminine or the guy who's weird, they don't want to be seen with you. So high school became a very lonely place for me. And if anybody was feeling the way that I was feeling or was gay like me, they were better at hiding it. They weren't as feminine as me. They were more straight passing. And when I went home, I didn't have that support system where I could just tell my mom and my stepdad what I was really feeling. Thankfully, I had a huge background in literature and I did a lot of writing, but outside of writing, all of it was stuffed in me. It was just with me, with my thoughts in my head, and just being conflicted into what I believed about myself, which was good, but also becoming numb to all of the name calling and the nitpicking and the world just telling me that I'm wrong. When I decided the first time I wanted to commit suicide, I was a freshman in high school. And that was right around the time where I realized that the bullying is getting more intense, it's getting more physical. And I wasn't sure if I had the courage to withstand that. I didn't know if I had the bandwidth to go through a whole 4 years of dealing with that. And I didn't feel like I had any support from teachers, administration, and I really succumbed to everything people told me my whole life about me was wrong. And I remember that morning, I went inside my mom's cabinet in her bathroom, and she had a big jumbo box of Tylenol. And I don't even know how many pills I took that morning, but it was fairly empty, if not empty, by the time I left to go home, to school. When I went to school that morning, I had basically a whole bottle of Tylenol inside me, and I felt nauseous, I felt dizzy, and I remember I didn't even make it through first period, which was my language arts class, and I threw up in the trash can, and nobody knew that I was vomiting pills. And I went home that day, but nobody knew that I vomited pills that day, or if they even found pills, no one thought to even ask where did that all come from. And my second suicide attempt was when I was 16, and that was the year before I came out. And I was still in the thick of it, not knowing, can I keep this up? You know, I'm almost out of high school, you know, college and life in my 20s. I just couldn't see myself living. And I went inside my bathroom, and I had a knife with me, and I cut my wrist, and there's actually still a little cut right here, as a little reminder that that I almost didn't make it. But I knew in that moment when I was cutting myself that, it hurt really bad, but there was just something inside me that said, you can do it. That this isn't the end of your story, that you are stronger than that. And I didn't go through with it. You know, after coming out to my parents and revealing to them about my suicide attempts and, you know, how hard life was for me in middle school and high school, I do think to a point they know that they could have done more. They should have done more, but I don't think my parents, there's no roadmap for parents when it comes to raising a gay child, or when you see that your child may be gay or he's not like the rest of his peers and he's not like the rest of the boys in the neighborhood. And being that my parents were so tied to their religion, I don't think they would have ever been able to reconcile the two of me being gay and still believing what's true in the Bible. And I think for them it was just easier for them to look away and hope that maybe it was a phase, or, you know, maybe once Rashad gets older and he goes off to school after high school and goes off to school, he'll get into girls. Or I can't say. We haven't had that many conversations about it, but I do know that for me, I wish my parents would have said something or stepped in or even pushed me against the wall and make me say it, because the only thing I cared about at that time was my parents. Would they accept me? Would they love me? The one safe haven that I have when I come home from school and dealing with the real world, with the people in those four walls still love me. And back then I wasn't sure that they knew how to do that. Today I have a great relationship with my parents. They have learned so much about gay people through me. They also learned a lot about gay people through my relationships. I've been in 2 serious relationships in my life, and seeing that gay people are no different than they are other than who they sleep with. Just having my parents' support today, it means the world to me. The story on how I got CNN was a very long and exhausting journey for me. I actually started working at Starbucks inside of the CNN food court. And about for a year, I thought, okay, trying to break into entertainment is really hard. Trying to work in any area of production is really hard. But something inside me said, I gotta get upstairs. And after my first year, I applied at CNN, didn't even get a call back. Tried a second time, got a second interview, didn't get the job. Third time, same thing. Got an interview, second interview, didn't get the job. And I started telling myself, maybe CNN isn't for you. Maybe production isn't for you at all. And one day I had an epiphany and I said, I work and I serve all the people who work above me at CNN. Why not ask all of my regulars, what am I doing wrong? Who do I need to speak to? And turns out for 3 years, I was just in a cloud. One of my favorite customers were actually a recruiter. And I told them, hey, I had 3 interviews over a 2-year period, and I need to get a job here. And I sent her my resume, and after a while, she got me in a meeting with another manager who works in production, and they said, well, we can bring you in for a few days a week. On your off days, on your own time, you won't get paid, but we can let you shadow and let you watch how the shows work and actually see if this is something you want to do. And for about 3 months, I came in, I shadowed, I did weekend work, I studied with different photographers, I worked with different cameramen, I spent time in the control room watching the run-throughs of shows, talking to different producers. And when the time was right, they told me, okay, we got another position in production coming up, you should go for it. And over that 3-month period, I built a great rapport, not only with the customers who I've, known for all those years at Starbucks, but I actually was inside the company working with them, and I got it. Now that I'm at CNN and I'm working for a network that I spent a great deal of my life watching, and it's really surreal being in a room with anchors and doing shows via satellite with Anderson Cooper or anyone for that matter. It's crazy. But there's a part of me that knows that CNN is not the end for me. It's job security, yes, but I am very creative, and working in a space like news, it's very structured, very streamlined, and there's only but so much you can do within a production space in the news industry. And I really would like to go more into film. I've done film work, but I really want to go more into film, or even a televised show, scripted TV show would be a dream for me, where I would love to go. What's next for me right now, and I'm actually working on a new show on YouTube called ATL Wants to Know. I'm really excited, and it's given me the opportunity to flex my creative muscle. I'm very social. I love being around people, meeting new people, and this is the outlet that it gives me, and that's why I know, as much as I love working for Turner, it's a great company, this is what I'm trying to do now, and where I see myself in the next 5-10 years. I'm starting the groundwork for it now. So if I had to say anything to my former self, specifically to my teenage self, I would tell him that, Rashad, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight really hard. You're going to have to work really hard, but you can do this. You have everything that it takes, and that the world can't take you right now. Hell, the world can't even take me now as an adult, but the world can't take you right now. But if you keep your eyes on the prize, if you keep your head up, you're going to make it. I'm Rashad Walker. Thank you for watching. Hopefully my story can inspire you to live in your truth and to accept who you are. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
See me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see.